Es más que un juego.
It's working as a team, learning from each other.
It's encouraging your teammates.
En práctica,
Es deportivo.
It's putting in time and determination.
Because you're not born good at it, but you can improve.
Like me.
It's creativity, strategy, pure joy.
Porque una buena jugada es una obra de arte.
It's more than a game.
Inténtalo.
It can change your tomorrow.
Os futuros campeões serão os criadores.
Todos podemos aprender.
¿Qué quieres crear?
Our food.
our code.
Our code. Our code.
Our code.
Now the vote.
Our code.
Our code.
Stop that. Dear Tim and Moby, our parents are always warning us about computer hackers, but we heard they're not all bad. Can you clear things up for us? From Noam and Shai. Hey guys, I totally understand your confusion. People often use the word hackers to refer to criminals. They break through security systems that protect computer networks. But among computer programmers, hacker has other meanings. To some, it's a badge of honor that signals you're an expert coder. That's actually the original definition of the term. Back in the 1950s, computers weren't something the average person ever used. They were for government agencies, businesses, stuff like that. People used these giant machines mainly to save themselves the trouble of doing a lot of complicated math. A computer might help a biologist calculate the volume of a cell, or a car company predict sales in the coming year. Well, I wouldn't say boring stuff, just very technical and specific. Young programmers knew that computers could be much more than expensive calculators. Many of these dreamers attended the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the most prestigious engineering schools in the world. In 1959, the school offered its very first class in computer programming. But most students weren't supposed to use or even touch the school's computers. After all, they were multi-million-dollar machines. Instead, they had to submit programs to authorized users, then wait days or weeks to get results. Right, they wanted to get their hands on the actual machinery. So they had to be a bit sneaky. Working while others slept, they'd invent new programs just to see what the computers could do. Like one converted regular numbers to Roman numerals. Another made a computer beep a classic melody by Bach. Older students said they were just goofing around, but these guys had another word for it: hacking. To them, it meant spending hour upon hour refining code. Making a program as efficient as possible was like a secret art form that only they appreciated. And in 1961, they pulled off their masterpiece. The school had acquired a PDP-1, a super advanced computer. It had a graphic display that was a huge leap forward, but it was only being used to generate random shapes. MIT's hackers thought it'd be even cooler if the shapes interacted. So they coded the world's first shoot-'em-up game, Space War. 2 players piloted spaceships in a deadly duel around a star. The programmers shared their code with people at other schools. Soon, students around the country weren't just playing Space War, they were tweaking its code to add stuff like cloaking devices and new weapons. Eventually, the game came preloaded on all PDP-1s. Technicians would run Space War to make sure new machines were working properly. Well, no, the programmers didn't get paid for it. They were just psyched to make computers do exactly what they wanted. Space War could never have been programmed the old way. It was a process of exploration that demanded a hands-on approach. That idea formed the core of what came to be known as the hacker ethic. This code of belief spread among tech enthusiasts around the country. Well, access to the physical machines is only the beginning. Hackers love exploring computer systems and seeing how they work, so it was just as important to have access to the code. The more restricted a system was, the more they wanted to get in. That's why, in the 1960s, the US telephone network became such a popular target. Back then, it was all wires. Calls were expensive, and the networks were a bit of a mystery. So hackers began to obsessively research them. They studied company manuals and even took tours of their offices. They realized the whole system was controlled by electronic tones. Calls were routed based on their pattern and frequencies. Phreakers, as they were called, built machines to mimic the tones. With these blue boxes, they could call anyone in the world for free. No, not legal. Like, at all. But guess what the hacker ethic said about that? Big organizations like the phone company were blocking access to code. Hackers wanted to put more power in the hands of individuals. As they matured, many phreakers got into more productive activities. Several were members of the Homebrew Computer Club. This was a group of techies who tinkered with computer hardware. One of them was Apple's co-founder, Steve Wozniak. Meeting regularly in the early 1970s, the club conceived of the first personal computer. They shared their information with the larger community and published a newsletter to help people build their own PCs. Yep, sharing ideas is another vital part of the hacker ethic. Dreaming up an innovation is sometimes the easy part. A collective effort is often required to bring those dreams to life. That principle also contributed to the next big revolution in computing. In the 1970s and 80s, the US military was testing out one of the first computer networks. ARPANET let machines in different places communicate with each other. The goal was to better coordinate our armed forces in case of war. To test the system, they gave limited access to a few universities. Yep, to a whole new generation of college hackers, ARPANET was an irresistible prize. A state-of-the-art system to explore. A way to connect with other hackers around the country. And run by the most powerful organization in the world. They imagined many more uses for a network beyond military strategy. At MIT, they recoded the whole system to be faster and simpler. They opened up the network so more users could access it at once. By the late 1980s, ARPANET had transformed into the Internet. Yep, in a lot of ways, hackers help build the world we're living in. For better and worse, their values are coded into the systems we all depend on. After all, most of us use computers every day. Huge amounts of information are freely available on the web, and that's empowered us all as individuals. It can be great, depending on the individuals. Some are inspired by the hacker ethic's focus on creativity. They love exploring systems, seeing how they work, and improving them. Just like those guys at MIT years ago, they're all about the art of programming. At contests called hackathons, they match wits and collaborate on coding problems. But for every positive example of the hacker ethic, there's a negative one. Some of them code viruses that destroy data and knock out websites. Some steal personal information, like credit cards. These black hats are the bad hackers you often hear about in the news. Yeah, they're like modern-day phone phreakers, except way more destructive. In response, many organizations hire white hats. They improve security by finding weaknesses in networks. Between the white and black hats, there's a lot of gray area, especially when it comes to hackers with political goals. Some of these hacktivists shut down websites run by hate groups and terrorists. Some expose the private information of those they don't agree with. In other words, they're vigilantes, people who have taken it on themselves to punish others outside of the legal system. Yeah, it's kind of ironic. Those first hackers wanted to take power back from secretive organizations. But look what it's led to. When anyone can take over your computer, it's kind of scary. Not to mention very illegal.
My name is Christopher Lopez, and I'm a security analyst at Tanium.
What is Tanium?
Tanium is a company that creates tools to help other companies protect their computers from bad hackers.
What do you do at Tanium?
As a security analyst, I see myself as a computer detective. A detective, what they do is they try to tell a story as they collect clues around something that may have happened. The same thing applies to computers. We try to collect clues in order to tell a story. And then with that story, we can get a better guess as to what happened that led to this thing.
Why is cybersecurity so important?
Because so much more information is now available on the internet. Now more than ever, most companies are technology companies, and security is really hard. A lot of bad hackers are taking advantage of that. So it's important for there to be people that defend companies and defend people from bad things happening.
What kinds of bad things can happen on a computer?
Something like a computer virus, a file that's doing something it shouldn't be doing. Another one is like bad people or bad hackers breaking into a computer and stealing information it shouldn't be stealing.
What do you love about your job?
The thing I love the most about my job is that it's always changing. There's always something new. There's always something to learn. And the best part about this job is that if you're a curious person, you're never going to get bored. There's always something new to uncover.
Hi, my name is Jerome Morrison, and I'm a design technologist here at Meow Wolf.
What is Meow Wolf?
Have you ever opened up a closet and wondered if there was a whole new world hiding inside of that portal? Well, that's what Meow Wolf is. It's a giant house that has a bunch of portals to these crazy, imagined but real spaces, kind of like the one that I'm in right now.
What do you do at Meow Wolf?
So I use computers to make all of the pieces of technology talk to each other, so that when you hit one thing, the right kind of signal is sent that tells another system to make the light go blue.
How do art and technology work together?
A paintbrush is a piece of technology. A typewriter is a type of technology. And so as we keep coming up with new types of technology, artists are always going to come in and find some new ways to use it in ways that are unexpected. An artist's job is to take these kinds of objects and pieces of technology and use them to advance creativity forward. They're two things that go hand in hand. There is no creativity without technology, and technology does not exist without creativity.
What do you love about computer science?
What I love about computer science is the joy I get from having a problem and knowing that I can do a little bit of programming in order to solve that problem. How do I make it so that when you walk into this room, the lights recognize you're there and then go twinkle, 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 twinkle.
What is the coolest thing about your job?
The coolest thing about my job is all of the wonderful minds and creative technologists and artists that I get to work with in order to make all of the systems work together in this giant world that we call Meow Wolf.
Hi, I'm Danelle Klein. I'm a software engineer at Mbari.
What is Mbari?
Mbari is the Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. Mbari is a research center that uses robots and other technologies to study the deep ocean.
What do you do at Mbari?
I help our scientists understand the deep ocean through sound and images and video. I use computers for everything. I program them to find jellyfish or find starfish in our video. I program them to listen and find whales in our sounds. I use computers to send our sound to your phones.
What is your favorite deep sea animal?
My favorite animal is the barrel-eye fish. It's a fascinating animal with a transparent head and eyes that can look up.
What did you want to be when you were a kid?
When I was in elementary school, I wanted to be an artist. I loved to draw. I think loving art and loving science are very closely related. I think being an artist helps my work because my work is very creative. Often there's not just one way to solve a problem. There's usually many, many ways. That's kind of the fun thing about programming.
What do you love about your job?
I love helping our scientists make discoveries. How cool is that? I love working next to the ocean. I love looking at our video and seeing all the weird and wonderful animals. I love listening to the sounds that we record. It's amazing.
My mission is to spread the word of computing and programming because not many people know about these subjects, and it's very helpful as in the future everything will be electronic and it will be filled with technology. When I started coding, I was very young. And I always wondered how I could make my own game. I started to discover that it actually was very fun. I could create anything I wanted. My imagination was run wild.
He's a very active child and he seeks challenges, and robotics and coding has given him those challenges, and then when he overcomes these challenges, he feels very proud and he feels a sense of accomplishment. His conventional learning limited him to a box. With robotics and coding, what Jay has learned is to think out of the box and without any limits, and this has helped him achieve amazing things.
So when I went to Coolest Project, it was massive and there were tons of different people there, and they shared their projects with me. It was quite fun interacting with the community. I definitely felt like I'd made new friends, and it was a great learning experience for me to socialize with others who are with my same liking. It was quite fun seeing how they made them and what they used.
So Jay, when he makes these projects, generally it's a mock-up on cardboard, but then it doesn't proceed beyond cardboard. The cardboard project itself becomes a robot.
I don't want to spend much money because it's not necessary when you actually have an alternative that works perfectly fine and it's for cheap. My inspiration for Oxypi came from the amount of ventilators that were actually in the hospital during the major COVID times. And also my dad, he was in the hospital for quite a long time. He had to go into a ventilator. So I just decided it would be a nice project to do based on these hard times of COVID. In this area, there are many different people who I teach. I teach adults, teenagers, children, and my favourite thing about coding and robotics is it's a new experience every day for me and for other people. When I go out and teach, I love it so much because it's really accessible. It helps me build my confidence. It helps them to discover, to learn, to create, and it's really fun. I think this is going to stick with me for a very long time.
Jay's been doing teaching and coding sessions in classes for probably the last 4 or 5 years. He's very competent at it, and we utilise his skills wisely. The class teachers learn a lot from him, not just the children. The children do respond really well to each other's feedback and coaching, but we find that if a child says it, it sort of has extra worth as well.
So this is a message to everyone out there in the world that robotics and coding is really fun. It boosts your creativity, and you should never ever give up whenever you try. And if you keep trying, you'll definitely reach your goals.
Remember, I spent hours working on my own tech projects, lost in my own ideas. But more recently, I've discovered a whole new global community, and the world of opportunities has opened up. This is my story.
In the primary school, I already have some sort of analytical and problem-solving mindset. I really liked to disassemble my toys and put them back.
I spent most of my childhood exploring how things work, building and creating things. And I soon realized that I could apply some of these skills to solving problems around me.
I discovered that this mindset of problem solving and analytical, algorithmical thinking could be very useful also in real life.
I had found something that I was really passionate about, but it wasn't until I was 13 that I realized I wasn't alone. I joined my local Coder Dojo, and it changed my life.
I had the opportunity to meet people with the same interests. Everybody was working, exchanging ideas, having fun. Every 2 or 3 weeks we had like a pizza party at Coder Dojo.
I had met a group of people that shared my love of coding, and together as a team, we started to try to solve some of the problems we saw in our hometown. We worked together to create an autonomous waste collecting robot. We built a drone-mounted air pollution monitor, and I started experimenting with mind-controlled robotics.
My favorite one is the mind-controlled robot. I know it may sound very science fiction, but it's easier than it seems.
In 2016, I was invited to present at Coolest Projects in Dublin. I traveled out of Romania for the first time, and my world suddenly got a lot bigger.
The vibe was amazing. All the people presenting their projects and being so excited about this event. I saw the outside world, the opportunities. I didn't really thought that I'd win something, and it was a very pleasant and unexpected surprise that encouraged me to continue on this path.
I never imagined that I would have so many opportunities to travel, expand my horizons and meet so many people. It's thanks to Coder Dojo and Clueless Projects that I've been able to build an amazing network of friends, and together we're ready to take on the world.
I want to bring a change to the world. My biggest dream, I want to have the main quarters of my startup in Silicon Valley.